Hey there everyone, Maji here, hoping you're all enjoying the Christmas update, Astray in a Manger. But anyways, this video is the patch notes for this particular update. There's a lot this week. Surprisingly, there's no skills and minigames, but they've got plenty of there, so let's get started. Up first, under the graphical category, the Elite Varrock armor has been updated to match the rest of the Elite achievement gear. The armor displayed in the Fist of Guthix cave has been graphically updated. The Daemonheim guard between Daemonheim and the wilderness no longer has a stretchy mouth. Tribesmen on Karamja no longer have patchy skin. Heraldic adamant plate bodies no longer cause problems for male characters. Pick and Mix's jaw no longer stretches. Jones no longer has wandering lips. Steam no longer goes the wrong way in the artisan's workshop. Some extra grass has been mapped down in the Birthwarp to stop players walking on water when fishing. The gnome maze has had some missing blocking on the tile and a hedge added. Armadillo chaps no longer leave a gap between the player's feet and legs. Salve robes no longer stretch when performing certain emotes. Armud's face no longer has a gap between his mouth and nose. Players no longer have a gap in their face when wearing the artisan's bandana or the botanist's mask. Fix some animation issues with the Knight's Talon cutscene. Several goblins have been graphically updated to the same standard as the recently reworked goblins. The range skill cape emote now has the bow held in the correct hand. Plain staves are no longer displayed and no longer display an orb on the staff. And finally, under graphical, they've replaced some missing textures in the Ubisk area, I guess that's how you pronounce it. Beats the crap out of me. Anyways, next under quest challenges and achievements. The Snake Charmer in Polymniche now makes it clear why he won't talk to you. The Constitution reward from Stolen Hearts and the Diamond in the Rough quest are now lamps, so players don't have to gain the experience if so desired. The Ghost Ahoy quest dialogue now refers to shield bows instead of longbows. The final cutscene in The Forgettable Tale of a Drunken Dwarf has been updated to ensure that the player doesn't wield a weapon instead of a beer glass. They fixed some voiceovers in the Rune Mysteries from playing too soon. The Quest Complete interface no longer shows the first tower hat twice after Rune Mysteries is completed. The Troll Stronghold quest journal now states the correct combat level of the troll the player must defeat. They've corrected a typo in the Tales of the Mospa. The Chain Store Falador achievement now displays the correct requirement to wear a black chain body. They've replaced some mentions of longbows in the Lumber's/Drainer and the Sears Village achievements with the shield bows. A hint for the docking out achievement no longer points to the location of the old toll gate. The Hold Them Back achievement is now completable for players who progressed to a certain point in the original Troll War Zone before the Evolution of Combat was released. Ice Strike Worms can once again be attacked for the relevant achievement while not on a Slayer task. And finally, under the other category this week, the tradable ports armors have now been added to the Grand Exchange. Barrow's pistol crossbows are now tradable. Failing a mission after passing a mission no longer claims to have succeeded. Players are now given a more accurate response from Black Marketeer when buying all of Zero stock. The Distraction and Diversion minimap icon no longer appears in the player-owned port when Meg is adventuring. Switching camera view on Shipyard interface no longer causes the minimap to mess up. They've given the Captain's Logbook a port symbol. Empty voyages now repopulate correctly on entering a new day. The fires in the Rogue's Den Bank have had blocking added to them. The Royal Dragonhide armor set now requires the correct equip stats on the Grand Exchange. It is no longer possible to run in the Port Gizard underwater area. Black crossbows now use the correct wield requirements. The Agility Skill Advance Guide has been updated to show that level 73 Agility is only required to enter an extra part of the Polypore dungeon. The Make Leather spell now stands only in batches of 5. Players are now able to make more than 3 Mythal Grapples at a time. Toon Bane Ore now works correctly with mounted player-owned house stuffed heads. The Nature Staff now works correctly with the Enchant Jewelry spells. Thicket is now spelled correctly. on the fletching interface. The confirm button on the MakeX interface for firing runes now states add rune instead of fire. A targeted typo has been fixed on several spell tooltips. They've updated the Slayer Skill Advance Guide with the correct combat levels required for Slayer Master access. The Olympic torches are now destroyed rather than dropped. They fixed a typo when slicing fruit into slices, chunks, or rings. They fixed a minor typo in Avalani's dialogue. They fixed a typo in the Tourist Trap quest journal. Players can no longer obtain more than one golden hammer. Yak Hide armor has had the name updated to differentiate between the top and the bottom pieces. The stat info window in a shop interface no longer has two closed buttons overlapping each other. They fixed a typo on the danger signs in the Shanty Pass. Players will no longer lose the recolor button on the customization interface when switching between body and head. Unequipping a recolored customized weapon or shield will no longer revert the color. The Runecrafting Guild Bank deposit box can once again be used. Players are no longer restricted from teleporting from the southern end of the Wizard's Tower due to an obsolete Tutorial Island check. Of course, Tutorial Island no longer exists, so yeah. Players can no longer use the trail feature to find non-visible players. Failing the stepping stone agility obstacle in the Brimhaven dungeon no longer references non-existent lava. They've updated the Skill Advance Guide to state that some of the dungeoneering staves are members only. Speaking to Ceresis via the NPC contact spell no longer mentions Jad being a level 702. Charged items should now work correctly with the action bar after they have run out of charge. Harry's cutlass can now be sheathed. The Arcane Stream necklace's magic requirement has been corrected in the Skill Advance Guide and the Dungeoneering Reward Shop. They've updated some item descriptions at the Dungeoneering Rewards Trader. They've reworded some of the Imperial Guard Quartermaster's dialogue to make it clear what he'll check when handing in a daily challenge. Respawn rates for common Slayer creatures have been increased in preparation for the Slayer Bonus Experience Weekend, which is coming up this weekend. The increased respawn rates will remain in the game until the next game content update, so this should be next week or maybe the week after. And finally this week, for all you video makers out there, the Orb of Oculus camera controls have been updated. So that concludes the patch notes rundown for this week. Hit the subscribe button for the next patch notes rundown next week. Of course, other videos as well. Check out the recent video section for one of my recent videos. And I must thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.